keep fucking squeaking, right? If you tell someone that pan is hot, you need to turn the heat off before you can touch the pan, and someone takes their hand and 5 fingers it right into the top of that fucking pan and burns your hand. Hey, I told you so. That's something that they need to learn. And sometimes learning the hard way is the reality. The reality for Flop as a character is that he wants to progress the PD. But Duncan asking, do you think you could take a week off? I don't give a fuck if I can or can't. I'm going to take a week off. Explain that again, the wheel bit. So Command believes that the PD is running in motion, right? They have people in place so that every function works properly. If there is a squeak in a wheel that is turning and somebody says, hey, something is not right in the system that you think is flowing correctly, and captains disregard the squeak, it's not going to stop squeaking, right? It doesn't just go away. So the analogy I'm going with is that problems don't go away. Problems aren't going to go away. Problems are going to stay around, and there's nothing that anyone is able to do. If I tell you that a pan is hot and you touch it, you can't say I didn't tell you so. I honestly, I'm so into this conversation, I don't want to think about my analogies that I'm using. The point I'm trying to make is that we can't fix every problem in the PD. And we're not going to. And sometimes when you address an issue and people don't want to listen, you need to let them fail. Which is why I'm doing this right now. Ziggy, what's up, dude? Thanks for the tier 3. I appreciate it. The resub for 16 months saying Christmas. What's up? How you doing, brother? God damn it. Ugh. I don't even know how much I row for Duncan. I need to see. It's spelled criticism, by the way. Yeah, fucking. I mean, listen, honestly, I don't really give a fuck. I think people understand. I think people just like to give me a hard time about it. I think I'm making a valid point. Hey, Bola.
Oh, Flop, sorry, yeah, Bird came and pissed on you while you were sleeping,
That was on me? I didn't realize it was in that fucking puddle. Is it on my back?
Yeah, I tried to shoo the bird away from you, but, you know, it's, you know, as you could see, it made a good little mess,
God damn it.
And, yeah, it's quite disgusting,
Oh, gosh. All right. Well, I'll change my shirt. God damn it.
Okay, so,
I don't know when Duncan's gonna roll over, but we'll just let him
damn,
be.
he must be snitching a lot.
Nah, we're just having an honest conversation.
Okay, whatever you say. Anyway, fucking the abandoned train tracks up north. If someone's intentionally doing a crime on there, you think that's considered government property? Like if I'm intentionally hanging out on the train tracks, you think that's government property?
You're talking about our railroad system?
Yeah, so it was mutual combat on the fucking bridge up by Polito. You know, the railroad bridge overlooking the trail.
Mm-hmm.
So you're intentionally setting up there. You think that's also felony trespassing?
Are they on the actual track?
Well, yeah, it's the bridge. It's not even a road near there. Like, it's very clear they had to even drive on the tracks to get there. You know, they're doing it because they just want a scenic view. They're setting up on the tracks. So, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you think railroad tracks are government property?
The people that I know that are currently in the process of trying to set a tram lead up to Polito So they're trying to run tracks to Paleto as well, so that there is a fast track system to go from the city to Paleto that is going through, as far as I last heard, the mayor's office. I would argue that our mayor's office is a form of government, and I would argue that at least at that point, you could probably argue felony trespass. I get it really falls down to the way that you articulate it.
Well, yeah, it's not an articulation question, Flop. I'm asking if you know, are train tracks government property, government property? Like, either the train tracks are owned by the government or they're not. That's what I'm asking, if, like, you know, what your thoughts are.
Well, you're asking for my thoughts, but you're also looking for a direct answer. My thought on the matter is the only people I know that have attempted to make change on our tracks are people from the mayor's office.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So, based on what I can understand, I think what we're working on at that point is that this is most likely a government situation. I would probably do yourself the due diligence to ask a captain to confirm. I would argue felony trespass if they're doing something.
Oh, fuck that. I'm just gonna make a judge decide.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a valid point. The only argument that you're gonna get though is, do we actually have anything in legislation about our tracks?
No, we don't. But like I said, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just curious if you knew, like, either way. Like, if a judge says it's not felony trespass, I don't give a shit. There's still other charges on there.
Here's a question. So you are referring to the mutual combat thing? Is that what you mentioned?
No, I'm not. I'm not. I'm just look. There was two people doing knife fights up there, but I'll be honest, I don't give a fuck. You know, like, people want to take that shit out of the city, do that on their own time, and know the risk. Like, that's on them. But if they're doing it on government property, you know, that's another thing entirely. But,
Here's something Dakota told me. The liaison told me. Maybe this will help answer your question. Apparently, legislation's not pushed yet, but from what Dakota told me, because I asked him about it, I said, "Ooh, that didn't sound too good." He told me that immediately when it was brought up at the meeting, he asked, how are you expecting PD to enforce this? Apparently, it is happening at the courthouse. It is going to be two people that have to go through the metal detectors to ensure that it is being presided over by a judge, where it happens inside of the courthouse, where they are allowed to proceed under mutual combat, the law. And essentially, the way that it's being enforced from the PD side is that mutual combat is going to be essentially delegated to the judges to handle, was the way that it was, I guess, explained to me.
I mean, I don't give a fuck. I'm not charging them for the knife. Like, I mean, even if it's illegal, I don't give a fuck if they're cutting each other. I mean, that sounds like a good old time. But I'm saying they was doing this on the train. That's why I'm asking about the fuck. Like, if it's legal to knife fight, I don't give a fuck either way. I'm just saying it's probably still not legal to do it on fucking train tracks. I just want to know if you think it's felony trespassing, and it sounds like it's gonna have to go before a judge.
I think you can articulate felony trespass. I think if anyone tries to claim it's mutual combat, you now have the information Dakota told me.
I ain't even charging for the mutual combat.
No, I know, but don't.
That shit's all good.
What I'm saying though is, don't let anyone tell you, oh, well, it was mutual combat. It was mutual for us to fight here. It doesn't matter, because as far as I'm aware, when we have legislation, I believe it's going to only happen under, I guess, a judge's word. So don't let anyone turn around and tell you, oh yeah, we did it on the tracks, but it was mutual.
They're not going to tell me, because I'm not charging them with assault with the deadly or reckless endangerment. I'm saying it's good. I'm fine with them fighting out. I don't give a fuck. I mean, you know me. We go way back. I don't give a fuck if people want to stab each other. But they probably shouldn't do it on the goddamn train tracks.
100% agree. Also, actually, shit, if you really wanted to, felony trespass would work. I would also argue reckless endangerment. Let me just confirm that.
Look, I'm not trying to jam. Like I said, I agree with the practice. I thought about charging the reckless too. But
I'm not talking about the actual fighting on the tracks.
For fighting,
being on the tracks at any point, getting an obstructing.
I'll tell you why I don't agree with that one is because well, I guess it would depend on what they think, but we know those tracks are abandoned. Like, there's not a risk if there's no trains running up there.
I guess putting it that way, that there are no trains that run up there, it might actually change the story.
No, because either. I mean, look, it could be abandoned, but it's still government property. It's like there's that fucking that sheriff station up in Polito. If I bust into that, that's still trespassing, even though it's abandoned. Look,
Yeah,
either the government owns the railroad or they don't. As what it comes down
that's
to. What it
fair.
comes down to.
No, I agree with that. I would say run it back with doing what you believe is right, and I believe your statement of claim that they're owned by the state, and that would have to go in front of a judge to prove otherwise. I think it's fair, and I think at that point, I mean, I don't want to say that that's precedent setting, but I do think at that point a judge would have to put something in legislation stating, because it is kind of an unknown, and we don't know if a private entity owns it, but it could be believed that since we have trams that are ran through our state with an app owned and ran by our state, that the train tracks are most likely owned by the state. So I would actually probably fully agree with you on that.
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe I'll push it. Okay, Duncan, a bird came and pissed on you while you was sleeping. You should really clean yourself up.
Did Avola pee on me?
No, a bird pissed on me too. Thank you, Avola.
Yeah, it was pissed on both of you.
Yeah, I don't want to go too long and talk in circles.
No, you're fine.
So I'll conclude this on it ain't looking good, and I don't necessarily want to I right now I could walk out right now and go, you know what? I'm done. I've got things for me that I can do. I've got fried chicken back home. I think that's all sorted out now. The issue is that I have the illusion right now that I can make a difference, and it's keeping me retained. And I don't want to say that's intentionally done, but it might be intentionally done where Sash gives me the illusion that he actually listens to me, or did before. But right now I have the illusion that I can fix it and prevent it from, coming the way that it is. But the more I deal with these academies, the more I deal with just the issues that we have, the more I'm like, they're really just gonna let this be an issue. And I'm telling you right now, when it comes down to the burning, putting the hand on stuff and burning, I don't think it's the captains that are going to be affected. I don't think they're going to really.
I mean, that specifically.
It's always the bottom line that gets fucked the most.
I agree with you. I don't disagree with that. But again, I asked the same question. If you warn somebody that a pan is hot numerous times and it is at face value what you were looking at, and they still touch the hot pan, how do you prevent that?
It was on this very roof that I'd stated, and he said, I know what you're saying, and maybe I got mad before because it kind of hurt. The truth kind of hurt, but I know what you're saying. We all feel that, I think the exact word was, he was like, "Is no one else but me care about the fact that we need to get people out on the streets? We need more cops in the streets." And I said, respectfully, sir, but I do, and I could probably name like 10 people I met that'd be good fits. And he let me name the 10 people, and he's like, "All right, let's get some people in." And then that's when he did the whole thing. Except he didn't take anyone from the people I named, and he picked two random people out of a hat. I'm sure that Tips and Avery are great people, but he did just do that, and then he immediately stopped. It was a good thing that was going, and then he stopped, and they went back to the academy format.
I'm gonna serve this to them. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. I understand your concern specifically in that front. I'm with you 100%. That if there's a problem from the top, the bottom gets affected.
And the other thing I said too that I kind of want to say as well, and I don't know if you'll agree with me on this, but there are a lot of people who have been interviewed already, or that have yet to be interviewed, and the expectation that they have to wait literal months when it's only been a month, and it's been a long January. Um, People are just gonna. This spark's gonna go away. The spark to want to police here is gonna go away, and they're going to consider other options. That spark don't last forever, and keeping them on red, or oh, they're just gonna have to wait. Like the Alexander River guy, there's shit that I gave him because he walked into the academy and said, "Oh yeah, I remember Duncan Fenwell. We met 1 month and 12 days ago when I first applied." Like that was a shitty attitude to say, but also I can't blame him for keeping track of the time, because if I was in any of their shoes, I'd probably be in the same boat of like, man, what the hell is happening? There are people who applied. They're just waiting for their time. And I'm gonna just say it. I said this before. I'm gonna say it not since I can speak freely with you. I think it's an insult that this guy went through the process, the interview process, went to academy, and is also getting the courtesy of being told that he's been declined, whereas others who have been patiently waiting aren't even getting the courtesy of being told, "Yeah, you didn't make it." And I already brought that up to Ruby, so it's already gonna go up. But that part is that part sits with me.
I don't disagree with that
And at some
at
point,
all.
I'm gonna say it. At some point, the people that are waiting like a month ago, or like waiting however long ago, however long they applied, they're not gonna wait forever. And especially those people that might have the experience that we need to build up are not gonna wait forever. We're only gonna be at some point. The only pool we're gonna have to pull from is green people. And if we're only getting green people and we still have 4 people on duty, it's not gonna work, man. It seems like there's a lot of these issues that need to be solved like last week, like 2 weeks ago, and they're just not.
I don't disagree with the management thing. I really, I genuinely don't. I think the management side is not good, and I do agree with you. Granted, I wasn't at the shift to academy, but I do think that it is resoundingly insulting that we're in a puddle right now where we have people who are passing their interview process. We have, like you said, 700 applicants who unfortunately are adamant and willing and wanting to learn and do the job and be proud of it. Some more experienced than others. And yet we still have people who unfortunately are being either neglected, forgotten about, and in replacement, we're getting people who should not have passed the interview process when there are plenty more people that we could be picking.
We almost kept him too. If he
I know.
didn't commit a crime, we would have kept him, and I would not have trained him. I would have said to the 2 people that wanted to see if they could fix him, "All right, he's your issue then. Have fun."
I mean, honestly, that's the correct response. You guys wanted him, feel free to take him. Do not expect me to be the one to train him. That's all. I'm almost completely with you on that, Duncan.
I feel like this conversation should have been had like 3 weeks ago, because I think we're already gonna lose potential talent.
I don't disagree. I really don't.
And we as much as we want our green people, we need the old people. I'm sorry. I'm some people will say, "Oh, we want fresh faces, we want new talent," but you need a foundation. And I'm almost certain, isn't like half of the people in the skeleton crew old people that have that foundation? Like yourself,
Most of the
Toby
skeleton crew, yeah.
McGolderson. Yeah, so
I think you need a healthy mix, though. I don't think 100
healthy mix, but we're like 1 week away from having only fresh faces.
Hear me out, though. I
Yeah.
think 100 to 0 on old people coming back to new people coming in is not the right way of looking at it. I mean, I would argue that we need to balance it out. But I don't think that neglecting new people wanting to learn is a resolution. I think you're right on the foundation base, that our foundation needs to be stronger.
We can have our cake and we can have both. It's just the
Yes.
fact of the matter is that
You feel that there is an imbalance.
There's an imbalance, and it's out of fear and a reasonable fear, because some of our old people are actually being kind of obtuse. I think we just need to find the right old people. We need to find the flops that are coming to be like, yeah, things were a thing before, but I'm,
Yeah.
But for some reason, and I'm just gonna throw people under the bus. I feel like that's what they wanted, but then they took all the old people who don't do that. That are just the same. Like this Johnson guy. I've only been on a few
Johnson
scenes
well.
with him. Holy fuck.
Have
It's already been brought up.
okay.
I'm just saying, like,
That's
out
not-
of all the pool of old people, this is what we're bringing.
I mean, Duncan, I'm gonna voice it again. Any of these people that need to be addressed need to be addressed.
I'm addressing it. Don't worry about that. What I'm saying is each week that passes, another old person takes the hint that maybe they don't know if they were declined because they're not told anything, but they definitely haven't heard anything. So I think it's time to move on. I'll leave it on this note. This is where I'll end it.
Okay.
I've been in a position before where I was told a long time ago, before I bounced back and became the best corporate fucker I could be. Long time ago, I was told, yeah, you're still with us, but at some time in the future, if we can't figure anything out for you, you're gonna be let go. And then zero communication. And then when it finally was time to let me go, all I could say was, okay. I didn't fight. I didn't say, oh, please just reconsider. It was like, it's been so long that I was already numb to it.
And that's fair. Like I said, Duncan, I can promise you that I'm going to make sure that your voice is anonymously heard. I think the captains need to seriously take a minute to consider that they're learning as well as we are. And I'm hoping that my efforts in this are enough for them to sit down and read every single notation I have made in complete hopes that they will take a moment to at least self-reflect.
Can I speak freely? I don't think they will.
And they may not. And you know what's going to happen? Shit's going to hit the fan.
And like I said, I don't think it's going to really affect them.
It will.
It's going to affect the bottom line, but not them.
It's going to affect the bottom line, but when they realize that their voices aren't being heard, it's going to affect the top. It will eventually come back up. I will make sure that specifically they read through all this. I want to make sure that they are well aware of the notes that I'm taking. I'm also going to make sure that when I submit this to them, it's contractual in the way that they will not be able to have any edits on this. I want them to read it for what it is. I don't want them to highlight anything. I just want them to fucking read. So you got my word. Everything we've talked about, I'm noting down. I'll let you do your thing. I do appreciate the conversation. I do hope, I really, genuinely, Duncan, like I said, I don't expect you to see me any higher or any lower after our conversation, but I hope you at least feel like your voice is being heard, because that's what I really want from this.
If anything,
Mhm.
this was needed exactly at this time, because like I said, that whole retainment thing about, oh, it's up to people to figure out their own morale, really made me feel like, like I said, I was the first baby in the daycare to gain a consciousness, and then you coming over and saying, "Yeah, I'm looking into morale," was something I really needed, because I was like, "What, what the fuck am I surrounded with here?"
Yeah, no, that is unbelievably stupid. And if there is a senior, and if not a senior, if it's especially a senior, you bring that directly to a captain and say, this is a fucking problem.
I was a senior, and the other senior and the captain and the other FTOs agreed, which is why I felt really out of place.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna make note. I am continuously spending time to add my notes on what has been given, and I'm gonna make my own notes about what we've talked about, because I do think it's needed in this example. So I'm gonna note this down. I'm gonna work on this report. If you need anything from me, Duncan, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm probably gonna be up here for the remainder of my day, as far as I'm concerned, making notes on this, because this is an important thing that I think. The reason I've spent more time on this than I have on duty is specifically because I think this stuff needs to be addressed.
You have the illusion that you can fix it too, huh?
Well, the difference between having the illusion and not is that every single captain is going to see my face, and regardless of if they have their own conversations elsewhere or not, every single one of them is going to receive a copy of what I'm sending. There is no ifs, ands, or buts on if one happened to see it or didn't. I will be around to see Ruth and say, hey, hope you're doing well. Real quick, want to pass this along to you. Just want to let you know, I've gone around anonymously. Captains have asked me to try and provide feedback. I'm here to provide you your feedback that everyone else is getting. Everyone is well made anonymous. If you ask me who said what, I couldn't even recall it at this point. And if you try and hold me to tell you, it will not happen. Take this for what it's worth. If you have a problem with it, don't come to me. This is something for you guys to reflect about. And I'm just going to walk away. I can't hold a grudge on this. For me to pull you aside and say, how do you feel things have been going? And for you to tell me all this, guess what? Because the issue is, once you put a name to it, now it's personal. They just need to see this for face value. I want people to enjoy their time on duty. I want people to have the right morale. I want people to know that they can come to me and speak to me about stuff like this. Because I agree. The reason I started this was because I feel like the need of making sure that we are all in line and making sure that everyone's voice is heard needs to happen. But if we're ever going to progress as a PD, grudges need to be put aside and reality checks need to be put in place to the right people. And I think that starts with taking the face away from the actual complaint.
I'm gonna be honest,
Mhm.
Flop. There was a time a few days ago, and I wouldn't actually do this because I don't want to, where I was like really close to just saying, just hand me the DOC and I will go make an actual structure of a team that actually enjoys coming on duty and actually fills up the roster in within the first few weeks, faster than whatever the hell this is. But I don't want to do that. If anything, I'd pick the sheriff's department.
I mean, I could speak off the record and say you and me both, but we're working with what we got right now. And if I can address the issues that we have right now in hopes for improvement, great. I'm going to tell you now, avoid from doing that. And I'm going to tell you a perfect example. Don't do what Cornwood did and call out captains in front of everybody in the room. I would go on a limb and say that that was incredibly unprofessional and probably not needed. I understand the point he was trying to make, but don't ever do
If
that.
there's one thing I'm good at is finding the right time in the right place and using the right silver tongue.
Mhm.
The only problem is I can't fucking talk to Slacks anymore because he's got seniors now. He did that intentionally.
I
'Cause he
don't
knew
I don't know
what I
about
was saying
that.
was he knew what I was saying was effective. I know exactly what to whisper in his ear.
Hmm.
I got that I got the tongue, snake tongue,
Yeah.
but I don't got that snake tongue with the seniors. And as much as I do think they're good for shift two, I think my time of whispering and being a political person is over.
Continue to do your thing. If you have any problems, you can come to me. But like I
They did
said,
figure out if I say stuff to Cornwood, it does actually go to Slacks.
I mean, Cornwood's a talker. If you want to vent to somebody and ensure that
No,
it's
I
not,
meant like push my ideas to Cornwood, and then he says them to Slacks, and then Slacks like, "Damn, Cornwood, you're a genius." I don't necessarily need credit. I just need the ideas pushed.
I wouldn't look at it that way. I just bear in mind, just bear in mind, Duncan. I'm gonna make sure that this is at least brought up. This is my intention. This is my goal. If the most I could do is try and bring this attention to the right people, I'm going to. And as time goes on, I'm gonna keep doing this. And honestly, you know, per chain of command, I'm simply following chain of command on this one. I don't really care. If they want me to not bring it to them, I'm just gonna get their state IDs and share it with them and tell them, well, when you're ready to look at it, send your documents. So I'm trying to have the PDs back while having the intention of everyone else on duty. I promise you, your voice will be heard. I'm gonna go ahead and start writing this now so that I can get a jump start on it, and I'm hoping by the end of probably this week, I'm hoping that I'll have enough people on this document to just simply, you know, just address everybody with. So, but
I wish you best of luck.
thank you, Duncan. If you need anything from me, feel free to let me know. Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll reconvene soon, I'm sure.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm one academy away from saying, you know what, pick my FT.
Like I said, that is your prerogative. Feel free to do what you feel is right for you. All right.
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk soon.
All right, see ya.
That might have been the longest meeting I have ever had. And I'm not upset with it. I think that a lot of what Duncan's complaints are, I know he's speaking very freely, but I actually think a lot of his concerns are very valid. I think he contradicted himself a little bit in the way that he sees the system needing to go, but definitely was an interesting one. Did Cornwood go off? Cornwood did not. I think Cornwood made a good point in the meeting, but I think he did it at wrong place, wrong time. Challenging captains, trying to challenge a captain's punishment in front of an entire PD is not going to assist with morale. It's not going to bring people together. His point should have been brought up more in private. And you could tell that that was the case when every single person in the meeting room, when Slacks dismissed the meeting, was in dead silence and did not move. Hey, what's up, Joe? All right. Well, time to start writing, I guess. All right. What's up, dudes? How we doing? Actually, hold on. Give me a second. All right. I have the illusion to make change, but being held, I want to see the prevention of. I'm gonna not note this. Possible solution based on officer notes include DAPs that could correlate, finding better middle ground to not have significant effect on all outside of normal operating hours. Classes have been brought up to lower DAP points. However, the lowering of DAP points does not resolve the overall feeling of how they currently proceed. An idea to bring up is to attempt to involve officer hours to correlation reduction of DAPs. All right, more paperwork. Um, perfect. Okay. Yeah, no, I actually think a lot of what Duncan is stating is valuable. I mean, it's not wrong. It's valuable. But what I feel like what I'm trying to do in terms of, I guess, how Flop views the situation, and also just I think the right way of going about it is, instead of, you know, calling people out on their mistakes and making, you know, comments about it, addressing the issue in private, I think is where you're going to see value. Oh, for fuck's sake. Bob DeGong.
Hello.
Hello.
Flop, how you doing?
A little tied up, but what's going on?
I have a quick parking violation question for you.
Sure.
Since you are the law. If a car is parked in the red, that's legal, correct?
Illegal.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yep.
Thanks, boss. Appreciate
All
it.
good, not a problem. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay. I'm gonna take out the all of it is awful, because I think referring to everything being bad is not a solutionary statement. Retainment is awful and was practically scoffed at and told to take breaks when they need it, even if that means they come back and nothing changes. The issue that I keep seeing constantly is that we're not retaining the people we have. There's multiple people from Skeleton Crew that don't show up. I'm going to start from top to bottom. Patrol. Other people have issues with being broken off of pursuits when it's non-violent. Priorities need to be taken, and I'm glad that the system we have in place, though other people do not like it. People are afraid to be on duty because they're afraid of being dapped, which I think is dumb. I feel like people should take it on the chin, and apparently I'm using the word effect wrong. The DAP system, reference Flop's example. Perfect. It's really hard to go on duty and stay on duty when our numbers are so awful, to the point where I can't take a break, breathe, or ride with people. There's a constant influx of people who need us and not enough of us to fulfill our time. Overall, the calls feel like nothing. How many times do we have to go to senior buns and take notice of the statements into a report, and then they get logged and lost in the sand, as he stated, while taking statements. We have people yelling for units. Hey, we need units at that 1032. We are spread very thin, and a lot of us are struggling to catch a break. There's very little people to pick from to ride with, and unfortunately, we sometimes don't have enough units to spread that thin. Referring to riding with one another. Recruitment training. Retainment is awful and was practically scoffed at and told to take breaks when they need it, even if that means they come back and nothing changes. The issue that I keep seeing constantly is that we're not retaining the people we have. There's multiple people from the skeleton crew that don't show up, and even more noticeably have not shown up, cadet and full officers. There are concerns that FTOs will burn out. Retainment of said cadets are not showing up, and yet we have people at academies with attitude issues and can't read or write. Yet we have 700 applicants who are eager to learn. I don't understand how some of these people made it through the interview process. People who are denied in the interview process are not being informed. They are being denied the fact they are not. I need better music right now. I'm in this. Hold up. Let me do a little chill hop. People are denied an interview, blah blah blah. The fact that they are not being informed does not sit right, as closure is needed. Officer has also referenced poor management skills in that nature. I don't understand why, based on my assumption, there's a captain issue across the board regarding the hiring of more cops, but we don't want to hire enough in the same breath. The recent academy for Shift 2 was an insult, and the response to the guy who can't count is that, but we need more cops. Standards appear to be slipping, and to be fair to the guy who can't count, he has a willingness to learn, but you can't tell me out of the 700 applicants, and some of which are heavily experienced or even newer people, this is the guy you want. There's a lot of contradiction in pushing for a better quality. What I can see right now is when you look at the roster, I don't even need to give you names. You'll just see how many people have not shown up the last 2 weeks. What else did Duncan talk about? Our overall slipping and has felt morale has been bad. Officer has stated that FTOs feel as if morale is something that needs to be officer has stated that FTOs feel as if morale is something that needs to be solved on its own. Flop Dugong did tell officer that FTOs should be turning off their police brain every once in a while and simply talk to people as if they are not lesser, but normal people. Simply asking how their day is going, how they feel things have been, areas of improvement for FTOs, as well as where they feel the UPD could be and should be. All feedback is important, and FTOs can be more proactive to resolve said issue. Should we, okay. All feedback is important, and FTOs can be more proactive to resolve said issues. What else am I missing here? That it feels like a lot of people were put in positions on the idea. Nah, the penny thing doesn't need to be brought up. I think the point that's being conveyed here is that that's important, is that the hiring process is solely relying on the FTO being willing. Officer expressed heavily that it feels like a lot of people are in positions on the idea that they will FTO, even if that is not personally their drive. However, the offset is that if there are no FTOs, fears come that nobody will get trained. On that note, officer also thinks hiring experienced people to assist in the FTO process would help. If FTOs are burned out, concerns of who will fill shoes will come into place. No, I think you completely misheard what was said about Penny. Penny was used as a good example because she comes around all shifts. I don't think anyone actually disagrees in Penny being a cop. All that Duncan is simply stating is that Penny is a new officer and he happened to use Penny as an example. We're not individualizing Penny. There are plenty of Pennies in the PD. Plenty of people who are new in the PD. The idea that Penny is in any way, shape, or form an issue is simply wrong. That's not what Duncan was saying. That's not what I'm saying. If anyone got that out of that conversation, that is not how that was supposed to go. That's not the way that that needs to be conveyed, because that's not how it was conveyed. The thing though, Monster, is I'm not even looking to bring up Penny in this. The only reason Penny got brought up, and the only reason why Flop was so quick to defend it, was that it doesn't, Penny doesn't matter in the equation, is what I'm saying. The reason Penny's being used as an example is because she is a new officer who is willing to learn. We need people who are willing to learn. If anything, Penny was praised through that whole thing. So, in that regard, Penny's whole side doesn't actually have an effect on this. She was just used as an example, as she's a new officer looking to learn, and she's doing phenomenal. I'm very excited to see Bonnie come around with Penny. I think she plays a character very well. What am I missing? Yeah, I got you, Joe. Oh my god, they're finally cleaning my dumpster. Jesus fucking Christ, finally. Sorry if you guys can hear banging. I've been waiting for garbage to come back around for like a week since I was snowed in a 1.5 foot of snow. All right. I don't think there's anything else we need to add here. I honestly think Duncan gave way more information than anyone else has, clearly. And I think that that's good. I think that's actually really healthy. I think based on what is going on, I think that the venting is really fucking good. We have to get a couple more statements, I think, before we pass this along to captains. I think we should make some notes real quick for Flop, because there are notes that I do actually want to address. I mean, when that's the way it already is right now. Dabs need to be used as a learning moment. Not in every shift. I know we're individualized, certain one incident. I wasn't gonna show this on stream because I don't know if Slack's really intended to show this on stream. I'm just gonna show this just to kind of make my point though. This is the tips from the command handbook on how punishments should be laid out. This is literally what Slacks gave Flop. This is what Slacks gave Flop. The good thing is that if this is not being followed, there is an in-character way of addressing the problem. Right? And the in-character way of addressing the problem is to take these notes. Is to actually address that there is a concern. Is to actually say that something does not feel right. And I think in light of how it's not being translated in every shift, it's roleplay. If it's not being conveyed in every shift, it just means that captains need to be made aware. And actually, in Cornwood's statement, which I actually recall was the first person I talked to, is mainly what Cornwood had to say about it. People don't feel like the DAPs are being used as a tool for punishment, not a teaching moment. So the goal with this is to hopefully make sure that people are at least being heard. You don't need to put a name to having people be heard. Correlate to finding a better middle ground to not have a significant effect, blah, blah, blah. The notation on inconsistencies from officers feel there is an obvious imbalance in causing foundational instabilities. Was Flop asked to do this, or did he decide to do it himself? Flop decided to do it himself. The way that the character is kind of conveyed, and the way that I'm kind of treating it is, to avoid repeating history. It's so hard, based on the way that like 4.0 has been kind of described. But the way Flop sees it is he's been down this road before, and if people have concerns and they're afraid to bring them up, the point of a senior is to listen to everybody else and to pass along what he feels is important. And Flop has had multiple people approach him at this point saying like, hey, you know, I really have some problems with what's going on duty right now. And that's how this started, was just, okay, well, this is like the fourth person to come up and say that there's problems. Let's write this down. Let's make it anonymous and let's just hand it to everybody and say, here you go. So. Also, Vicious, I would argue differently. The DAP system does work right now. I think it needs to be tweaked. I don't think the argument to state that the DAP system doesn't work at all is inherently wrong. I just think that the DAP system needs to be I think there needs to be a revision to the DAP system. What's the DAP system? A disciplinary action point. Is there a new strike system? It feels weaponized for punishment. I mean, I'll just say the hard to swallow pill too, though, is some people don't take punishment well. I don't know who's been dapped. I don't know at a character who's really been dapped. I haven't watched clips. I haven't seen videos. I know there's drama around it, but people are going to treat being in trouble for doing something wrong as inherently bad. There's no two ways about that, right? And the issue is that the way that the DAP system is set up is that it's supposed to be a teaching moment. If it's not being brought up in that way, there's no way I can DM Sab and say, people don't like this. But in character, Flop has found an issue that has come his way as a senior and proactively is trying to do his best to address the issues and state, you know, you don't have to like how people feel. This is how people feel. Regardless of what you guys think people feel about something, this is actually how they feel about it. And so you can't go snipe people down to say, hey, specifically you, I want to talk to you. You made comments about this. Tell me about why you feel this way. Now it's being put anonymously, and instead of it being used as a tool of weaponizing people to find reasons to talk to people about it, it's giving the idea here is to take down the direct frustration, and now is doing our best to address the problem. It's what causes a lot of officers that hesitation. To be honest, though, that inherently is still on the officer. I agree with you to a degree. If you have 9 DAPs and you're 1 away from potentially losing your job, yeah, I can understand how that is fearful, right? But if you choose not to come on duty, or you choose to be a little bit, more secluded, and that's the way that the message is being conveyed, then again, in character, that is something that needs to be addressed. I have very openly tried to come up with a solution to reward. I don't care what anyone calls it. I don't care. This is OOC at this point. I don't care if the word reward is wrong, but what I am trying to imply in character is that we should be rewarding people who still want to come on duty. If you decide to walk away and wait your 60 days, wait your 60 days, right? But I think we should reward good RP and good behavior. And I think if people still come around and try and make that change, I think the in-character response is we should recognize these people, right? The way Flop's going about it is we need to recognize the people who are still making the effort. And the example that I'm giving is not rewriting our DAP system. It is simply giving an alternative, an addition to our DAP system. If you can get in trouble and learn from it, how do you learn from it? Hey, how about an officer review? How do you think things have been going so far? Do you, where do you think things have been? Do you feel like, things are in the right spot right now? Do you feel like, based on our last conversation when you received your DAPs, do you feel like that maybe we've made some improvements? How do you feel like you've made these improvements? Maybe quiz them, test them.